Good evening. Uganda is now a few weeks away from picking its representatives to the East African Legislative Assembly, a house that represents the regional integration agenda. But with a new head of state in Kenya, a navigation of political interests and old dyed-in-the-wool national sovereignty, it will fall to these legislators to carve out the best possible deals for their home countries, while furthering the integration agenda. Tonight on the spot, we ask, how will these legislators navigate these interests? And to answer these questions, we have three contenders and front runners for the EALA seats. Gentlemen and lady, thank you so much for having honored our invitation. Mr. Ategeka James Brown, thank you for coming.
Moses Brown.
Mr. Harold Kaija, thank you so much for coming. And Fiona Rwanda Rugari, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Let me begin with you, Fiona Rwanda Rugari. By the way, your name, Rwanda Rugari, I was reading on social media, somebody called you Rwanda, Angola, another one said Rwanda, Kigali. So what's your real name, Rwanda Rugari?
I get a lot of that.
Yes.
Thank you, Patrick, for having us here. I want to thank NTV for the opportunity. Fiona Rwanda Rugari. Rwanda Rugari means large.
Okay.
It's just like the word Uhuru. Uhuru means independence. So Rwanda means...
Or Rugari, like the Rugari that we know.
Okay.
A big world. Actually, it means a big world. Rwanda means the world, then Rugari means large. So it's a big world. That is what it means.
All right. Okay. Yes. We're happy that you honored our invitation, and you guys are very ambitious. You want to represent us into the East African Legislative Assembly in Arusha, and it is happening very soon. But this East African community agenda, in my view, it's very wobbly. If I may begin with you, Moses Brown, do the East African people, if you go to Kajukeji in Sudan, or you go to Ruhengeri in Rwanda, or you go to Nyahururu in Kenya, or somewhere in Bagamoyo in Tanzania, do the people really care about this East African community project?
A very vital question to begin with. Thank you, Ugandans. I still want to say rest in peace, the Queen of England, and still also, before I continue with the question, to say we wish you more years to come, President Yoweri Museveni, on his birthday today.
Is it?
Yes.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, he's celebrating. Okay. He's celebrating life. And we continue to say, may God preserve you more. And of course, for Kenya, we welcome you, Kenyans, from that serious election that brought you into a new leadership. Back to your question, East African community is a historical issue. We have seen it starting from the times when we are gaining independence. After 1962, all these countries, the first cardinal countries, which you call the principal countries in East African region, that's Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, followed slowly in the event of independence. And I see Mzee Obote that time with his counterparts in the region, to take it shortly. They start an integration that was based on peace, building and unity for East Africans. But it later on collapsed because Obote and his people were looking different. Then Amini Dada also came in and said, he actually, at one time asked, why is Uganda very small compared to Kenya? No. We must extend our boundaries towards over Mijingo and have it bigger, because Amini, in his personal understanding and interest, felt that Uganda was big.
Okay.
So those things hampered us.
Save us the history. I suppose all of us have read that history. But I'm asking about the viability of the East African Community Project today, and whether it connects with the ordinary East Africans, or it is just a club of the elite, or even, to put it very rightly, a club of the presidents.
Yeah, to a smaller extent, I will say it has not managed to achieve its intended objectives and vision. But I'll still go and say to the larger extent, you should appreciate that in 1993, after
So to which
1993,
extent do you stand?
that's why I'm coming now. That's why I'm coming. In 1993, when President Yoweri Museveni, the pioneer, one of the cardinals of the beginning of East African community today that we are studying in, that we want to go and present in East African Parliament, and his counterpart, Arap Moi in Kenya, and Al Hassan Mwinyi, they started it with a vision of opening markets. Today, there are bottlenecks, but we can agree that this East African community has gone a level that needs people now to put in the hand, and push it and open. First, and I have gone telling people every day in all my submissions, and I said, you will never achieve an East Africa unless you streamline, clear, protect, and achieve the customs union protocol and common market. Because the first thing is, how do we open our lives, businesses, merchandise, and all things that we're doing in East Africa to penetrate in all these borders. Today you're enlarging to Congo, you're coming to Somalia, but before you clear the customs union, you will not get there. So that's why today, Mr. Kamara, you still have a problem that you cannot import your milk to Kenya, because it's still a lot of issues, because they're also cattle farmers. There's that a little bit of competition. They fail it to make sure that the milk from Wakitura still has issues, even when it has gone through the UNBS standards, the Kenyan standards. What is the difference between, Kenyan standards and the UNBS standards? It's just a matter of competition that we still are going with, but I still suspect and believe that this is something that can achieve. Recently, in Zambia, they achieved the milk that had been denied in Kenya and received with even, I can say, 15 hands. They took it on and said this was one of the pieces of the best milk that we can have in this globe. And they took it. But in Kenya, it was failing. But this is all about rivalness in business, competition, and the ignorance of our people deployed at the customs. I want to recommend and salute the Honor and Kadaga, the Minister for East Africa. What she did recently for me, I appreciated it in my own doors. When she went to Gatuna and all these border posts and tried to interact with the business community. Hey, how are you doing? What are your challenges? What is happening here? The customs unions, what are your roles? You traders, what are your roles?
All right.
So these are the things.
Mr. Harold Kaija here, because Harold, we, by now, even the political federation should have happened. By now, we should be having a monetary union. Yeah. We are struggling with the customs union and common market that doesn't seem to be serving the East African people properly. Really, this East African community agenda that you love so much and you want to represent Uganda in its parliament in Arusha is so much behind schedule, but even what is around doesn't seem to be serving us well. Your take?
Yes. Yeah, true. Thank you, Patrick. I want to greet our viewers and thank you for tuning in. The East African community that we have seems not to be felt by our people. I have told colleagues in the parliament and those in the business community that the East African community that we need is the one that puts food on the table of the people of Uganda and the region. The one that brings opportunities. But currently, as you stated when you're starting, it is more of the, not even the elite, the political class, the politicians. It is up there. It is alien. And I've told some of the people that I go to meet, and I tell them that we might face a disaster that happened to Europe when the people of the United Kingdom went and voted against staying in the Union. Because they felt, they said, yes, what are the benefits? David Cameron and team said, no, the benefits are there. They're normal. So we want to fill them. Because when you are in a community where, as you said, that we allow, because you see, what we call a community or a union is that we have houses that are next to each other. And then we say, let's break the walls and have a larger compound. When we were kids at O level, when two colleagues started fighting, we would remove the beds so that we create an arena.
You guys were terrorists.
Yes, no, we create an arena so the guys fight well. Yes, even on weddings, it's a nice time for dancing, we remove the seats. Uganda agreed, we removed the seats. When you look at the Uganda's economy, you will find that the Kenyans are dominating our banking sector. Most of the CEO and what we would call the good jobs are taken by Kenyans. But when a Ugandan businessman goes to take milk, goes to take maize, hey, you guys, wait a minute. It is the same when timber and all other goodies of Uganda are taken to Tanzania. Many times you've seen in the parliament, when a Kasita is going to parliament, asking the government of Uganda to compensate Ugandan traders who have lost their business in South Sudan. You remember when about 3 years, the border between Uganda and Rwanda was closed, and you would not feel the East African community coming into help. You saw Angola coming into help. That was an embarrassment. So the community today does not have something that is the juice for the people. The first community that was started by the British, actually not by the East African leaders, I think about 1930, when they wanted to put what was called the Federation. They had a common currency, East African common currency. They had East African Airlines. They had East African Rail. They had, we had, what did we have? It is called, it's even in my manifesto, a Common Service Bureau. Like what you would see the standard gauge. This standard gauge would be an East African project, so that we all bring resources together and we have it. And you Kamara, you would have your papers, go to Mombasa, find a job, nobody will ask you for a work permit. Today, if you went to those countries, they want a work permit. Today, if you went and you're flying to Kenya, they say it is visa-free, but they will ask you, how many days are you spending here? So that means there are limitations. So the people in the or the representatives of Uganda at all levels, Ministerial Summit, the Summit of Heads of State, the EALA, must work towards making sure that, because now today, if you had $1 billion shilling and went and sat in Mombasa, you would sleep hungry. But an American with $1 and a euro have something to eat. The same situation if I fly to Ghana, they will ask me for the days I want to stay, but it will be visa free. Zimbabwe, Zambia, and all those countries. They ask for work permit. So what is the difference between being in this community and joining the rest?
Okay, hold on to your point there. Let me come to you, Fiona Rwanda Rugari. Yes. You are super focused going into the East African Community Assembly in Arusha, and I've seen you going viral on social media trying to convince everyone and those who maybe have the powers to vote. But what is this thing that you think is missing and you could add value into that parliament?
Thank you, Patrick, for that question. For the viewers, a Ugandan and a citizen of East Africa, and something different about my brothers, at least I have the opportunity to cross the border and practice in Kenya. So I actually want to say, starting from what they've said, I want to say that this is real. And I want to say that this East African community has come down to the people because I am a beneficiary.
In what sense?
I am an advocate enrolled to practice in Kenya. I was enrolled by the Supreme Court of Kenya. I'm also an advocate of the High Court of Uganda. So I trade my service both in Uganda and Kenya, and that is the integration we are talking about. So when we say, has this really come down to the people, I am that common man, I am that common woman that has benefited me as a person, and many others I know I meet across the region. So personally, I really believe we are there, but we'll get where we want to be. And I want to tell the viewers out there that this East African thing is real. You either get on board or you miss out. If you look at the speech that President Ruto, congratulations to him, he's my president when I'm the other side, because like I said, I practice the other side. You had his speech, the passion of the people of Kenya and his commitment to working and abiding by the treaty. You even had the speech of the president of Tanzania. They are all passionate about this East African community thing. So if
but you know, Fiona, I can agree. If you're an advocate of court, and you are in that class that can easily benefit. For example, even now the president of the Bar Association of East Africa is a Ugandan, Bernard Oundo. So he can actually go there. You are in that elite class that can easily. Think about those Bararo herdsmen from Isinjiro, from Mtungamo, who were chased from northern Tanzania, who could not even let their animals just graze in northern Tanzania.
The Kasita business.
One at a time, gentlemen.
The milkman.
Think about those, Fiona.
The other thing that makes me so unique about this is that I am a child of the border. I come from Chisoro. On one part I neighbor Bunagana. On the other I am in Chanika. You see that? So I see...
You haven't seen problems.
No, wait. I see our people benefit from these small businesses that cross these border points. At least I have been to my people in Chisoro, and I see what happens when Chanika was closed. I saw the problems that we had, and you saw what we did here. The president's son goes across, and he talks, just dialogue. Talks to the president of Rwanda, and then the borders are opened and our people are benefiting. And if you go to Revenue Authority right now, they will tell you how much we are making from since when that border point was opened. So I personally believe that we are benefiting as a people from this community, but we need to do more as leaders.
So, Moses Brown, what is it that has stopped us as the East African community partner states to have that monetary union? Because, you know, Harold is talking about, you know, you can have your money somewhere but even sleep hungry. A guy can come from London with his pound and he'll be able to get food, but with the Ugandan shilling, he will sleep hungry. And yet it was one of those, it was on the agenda of the East African community that by 2012 we should have had the East African monetary union. That never happened. What do you think failed us? Yeah,
because actually I want to stand different from my sister Rwanda Rugali, who thinks that because you can practice here in Uganda and you practice in Kenya, it is easy for you to always have these services. We are different categories of people in this country and this region. You have, you put it well, herdsmen failing to make it. A milk person, I was in Karugutu last time and I was asking the gentleman who was selling his mangoes at 500 shillings. Huh? When you come to Nakasero market, it's over 5,000, 10,000 shillings. I said, why do you always concentrate in these small markets? You have an access to the border in Congo and all these cities within Congo. That's preferable.
But also, what fails you? What fails? And you know what they selling mangoes in Karugutu, you want to cross and go and sell some mangoes in Congo?
No.
I mean,
they can merge.
They also have mangoes in the wild.
They can merge
they have
and
mangoes
benefit.
growing in the wild in the Congo.
They can merge up and benefit for the best.
In how? In what sense? How?
I told them, actually they gave me a reason that it was bad leadership, and it's the same story why I have to tell you, the leadership has not put us to a level. From the time the three men put the East African community to this level, we lacked the commitment and the people who can push it deep. And that's why I came in saying I recommend Rebecca Kadag as one of the first ministers in the Prime Minister's office for East Africa to be getting time and get these access borders and find out the problems.
So this commitment you're talking about, it appears, and I'm asking you, Harold, that Uganda seems to be more committed. Is this commitment more in the wilds and playing for the gallery? What what tangible commitment should we see so that this region can move together?
No,
Instead of, we can enlarge the geographical the way.
You see, Patrick, Uganda's interest in this East African community seems to be pointing at the political federation. The interest of Kenya, to be particular, because I'm interested in Kenya, when look at the balance of trade between Kenya and Uganda, you really run mad. For them, they want the juice. They're doing the economics. That's why I told you, if you removed the Kenyans from our economy can even collapse. They all over. As you bring DRC, their banks will be there, their best will be there and be gaining big. So as we're looking at the politics, for them they are looking at the economics. But as we help them to achieve the economics, the business, they're not helping us to achieve political federation. I've spoken to some colleagues in the NRM that you remember when we even had the coalition of the willing, where they say Mr. Museveni, Kagame, and Uhuru. Where I said, no, let's leave Tanzania and the rest. But then we realized that they thought they were going though to the political federation. It was never achieved. Okay. But now, because the most important thing, why we must federate, because where have they achieved political federation? ECOWAS, which is bigger than us, has not yet achieved it. COMESA has not yet achieved it. In Europe, they have not. What we must strive to achieve is the economic union, so that the people, there's a person who even calls the people, benefit through opportunities. Okay. Not the opportunities of my sister, but the opportunities of everybody.
Harold,
the businessman.
Harold, Moses, and Fiona, hold on to your points because we're going to take a break, and on the spot we'll be right back. No. Welcome back. You're watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amara. My guests tonight are Moses Brown Ategeka, Harold Kaija, and Fiona Rwanda Rugari. We are discussing the race to EALA, the East African Community Legislative Assembly based in Arusha, where all these men and women are trying to go. But the East African Community, whereas it's supposed to be a good project, supposed to be a good thing, it has moved in a very, very slow pace. In fact, there was, I think, a department for fast tracking of the political federation. So Fiona, this fast tracking that even had a director, I think at one point the Honorable Beatrice Keras was in charge of fast tracking. What is this thing they have fast tracked that has failed to really go to be propelled further?
No, thank you, Patrick. I really want us to first appreciate that for full federation to really happen and get to the stages that it's supposed to get, we should know that there are pillars to this federation. First, we need to deal with the customs union. We deal with the common market. Then we deal with the monetary union. Before we go to the political federation.
That should be the last pillar.
Yes, that should be the last pillar. So we should ask ourselves, where are we at this stage, before we even think about the political? You see, we'll get there, we'll really get there, but for now, we are not yet there. Let us first appreciate what we have. What do we have now? Do we have at least a tariff that is open to all of us, where we all benefit, that if our goods get into the East African community as 7 countries, we all have the same kind of tariff that cuts across, that there is no maybe tax charged to a different country, and maybe this other one applies to Uganda. Let us first appreciate that. Then let us also appreciate the fact that, do we have a common market where our goods at least have an opportunity to traverse these borders and reach the markets of whichever country they are? And let us say that maybe when they get there, do our people benefit from the sales that get from these
Fiona,
markets?
you are bordering the Democratic Republic of Congo, from where you come from, Nikisoro,
yes,
on the side of Bunagana, and you are bordering Rwanda on the side of Chianika. Really, you know what happened? For 2 years, Uganda could not even trade with her partner state called Rwanda.
That is true.
And you know also that we are struggling to even find the market for our sugar and our milk. In fact, the Kenyans were saying there's too much milk, that milk shouldn't even be coming from Uganda. They had to send a delegation here to actually establish whether the milk that was on the Kenyan market was actually from Uganda. There's that mutual suspicion that is amongst ourselves as nations. Is that suspicion something that can help us grow as a region?
That is true, Patrick. We are having challenges, really. I will not say we are not. We have these challenges, but we as a leadership, we have to change the mindset of our people. Because when I'm in Kenya, and I'll tell you the truth, our food, our milk, our eggs sell at a slightly low price than the good in Kenya. So you'll be sure that the businessman in Kenya will get worried about this. But we need to promote the agenda of the treaty. The agenda of the treaty is saying that let us relate. Let us probably, like what my brother was saying, the cooperative advantage. Let us leave out that which is very good for one country to market and maybe adopt something else. So what am I saying? Yes, we have challenges as a region, but it's just like any other family. Families have challenges, but we will not iron out these challenges that, to cover up the good that we have benefited from the East African community and the markets that are lying to
Gentlemen,
our
Moses,
country,
you're a
people.
businessman, and I suppose Harold too. You know how Ugandan business people suffered so much. They lost their goods in South Sudan. Up to today, about $30 million has not been paid to the business people in Kampala because they lost their goods there. They had reached the government of Uganda and the government of South Sudan agreed to pay, but they haven't been paid. And yet we claim to be in the East African community. South Sudan is a partner state. If you cannot just pay the bills of the business people that have supplied you goods, what is this for? What is this East African community for if it cannot serve a business
I
person?
think we shall not discard the idea of East Africa community. It still becomes a role for me, you, and those at the helm, and the structures that we have within the East Africa. Did you know we have more than 7 structures within the East Africa that are supposed to process, facilitate the free movement of the region and services inside and out? But when I ask you today, the structure that is meant for the universities, today have difficulties for even these children to come cross countries and get into these universities. When they come here, they charge different. When they go back, it's different. So it's still difficult that our roles have not been served to the best. And Mr. Patrick, I want to assure you, in my campaigns, sorry to bring it in, I've dubbed it the bringing in East African community to the local person on the grassroots, because that's where the problem is. Today it's only the people, our lawyers, our officers, the cages, who are able to cross over the region and enjoy the benefits. But what about this person you're talking from the Rwanda Rugari is the border post, who can only enjoy on the border post? The next day you step your feet into Rwanda without them knowing, without informing them, you are shot dead. Haven't you had cases of death on these border posts? Haven't you had in Southern Sudan, where you make a business, Patrick, you brought your beans to Southern Sudan, a Southern Sudan comes with a gun, huh? And then he says, how much? This much. I'm giving you this much. You take it or leave it, at his mercy. The level of cooperation of our states is very different. Today you can say Uganda is doing well, Tanzania is doing well to try and put up a good level of cooperation in this region. But all these other countries, and thank God you brought in this case because it was part of the discussion. What is Ruto's involvement, inauguration? Does it mean, what does it mean to the common person of the East African community? He has good attributions which can speak, which may not have time to speak here, but he's a guy who has shown some level of cooperation. He's the guy who has just stepped in and won for the first time an election, loved by so many, loved by all heads of states in East Africa. All the countries were represented at his inauguration. What does it mean for East Africa? That is the level of cooperation we're headed for. So do not undermine the East African community, because we are going to achieve the agenda that is meant it for.
Well, what you're going to achieve, gentlemen and ladies, is that if the Parliament of Uganda gives you the mandate to go there, you will, as an individual level, you will achieve, and that's it. Harold, that's it. And that's what you, the three of you, with all respect, are pursuing your personal agenda to achieve. But I don't see you are going there helping the people of Kenjojo, where I come from, or Rwanda Rugari's people in Kisoro. I don't see that.
Or my people in Fotopoto.
But by either way, those who have been border people have always been, you know, cooperating. In Luakaka,
exactly, even without the community,
in Chanika, after all, even the language is the same. You know,
Just
I have more people who speak my language in the Democratic Republic of Congo than they are in Toro.
Yes.
Guess what? The Congolese today are dying in big numbers in Bunya. There's a rebel group called the Kodeko killing them 200, 300 daily. And yet, we have Ugandan forces there, we have the UN there, and the East African community has extended up the Atlantic Ocean. What is the East African community doing if the Congolese Hema community are dying in big numbers every day?
No, you see, Patrick, like I believe the community to be felt as a community, we must have a policy infrastructure that deals with the politics. That we must. As you have seen in West Africa, as you've seen in COMESA, you have seen the European Union, that can address issues concerning the political instabilities or the political stability of the region. We must have a trade tribunal, so that when there is an economic conflict between
partner states,
there is a court to go. Today we are thanking Right Honorable Kadaga. Possibly to get another minister who may not be good at lobbying. We must not have issues of bilateral in this matter, so that when I have issues with Kenya, Honorable Kadaga must go and beg and beg and plead. You see, our eggs are rotting. We are losing this so much. Then we have issues with Sudan. The same case when the Tanzanians are chasing our people, chasing our goods. Yet for us, we are open. That's the price we are paying for the fast tracking of the political federation, because we said no. Let us be too good to our colleagues. They are chiffoning, I would say, from Uganda, and then when look at what Uganda benefits from the partner states is basically limited. Those who must represent this country must go and tell our colleagues their cardinal issues were agreed, that we must all benefit. Why is it for us we open and you close? On my side, you come and dance. When I come to your side, you don't allow me to dance.
Okay, just Fiona, do you think that Uganda's openness has been, you know, they have taken advantage of
Has been
Uganda?
abused by others.
Have they abused our humility and our openness?
You know, I want to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency for being visionary. Why do I say this? Every time there is a problem in East Africa, he's at the forefront. You have seen that. You've been talking about the insecurities in the DRC. You have seen him take it upon himself and make us as a country commit to the peace and security, which is in line with the treaty. Article 124 of the treaty says it is our duty and obligation as stakeholders in the East African community to make sure that the peace of our neighbor is good, that our people in the neighborhood are living safely and they're at peace. So I want to really thank him for that. And I want to say that as a leadership, we can do more. We can lobby. We can sit down with our people and try as much as possible to make sure that they understand the ideas, the ideology of the East African community and how it will benefit us as a people. And from my brother, Moses, who was saying that we pay different fees structures. No, I studied in Kenya. I paid the same fees,
It's the same.
same fees
Kenyans,
with the Kenyans. So it is not true that they pay different. I did, because at least I did study in
Fiona
Kenya.
is on a very advantage. You know, she's born at the Rwanda-Uganda border.
Yes.
She studied in Kenya. She lives in Kampala.
She could be married in Tanzania.
She could be married in Tanzania.
By the way, I will give you a very simple, quick one. Just go to these universities here. The students who come from Kenya to Uganda pay different.
No, today they don't.
No, that's not true.
Go to Cavendish. I've been
That I
studying
don't
there.
know. I know Makerere, I know Chambo.
Maybe.
The
You're
public
looking at these
universities
bigger
don't.
institutions who can follow the principles. But what about all these embedded institutions? What are they doing?
Then
That's what I'm saying. So you cannot actually say we are peddling at the
So
same
No,
now,
but,
look,
just
Moses,
Patrick.
from the business perspective, you know, Kenya is an economy that is perhaps 10 times bigger than Uganda, or even more. And I always see Kenyan trucks
five times.
coming up to Kamwenge or Mitiana and Mobende, you know, carrying grain as grain, maize across Luakaka into the Kenyan market. And then they can bring it back the same maize when they've added some little value and make a kill here in Uganda. I can see us losing out, because it appears the leaders that we have do not have a business mind. Isn't there a problem with Ugandan leaders, failing to run Uganda like Uganda Incorporated, like a business? The Kenyan politicians, I think, have what we don't have. They seem to have a bigger stake in the economy because they are also serious business people. And our leaders here, our politicians, with all respect, most of them are not business people. And probably that's a problem.
No. Me, I don't stand in that Uganda is actually more cooperating. The leadership is not taking it serious. No. What I have seen from my experience, I've been trading with the Uganda Plastic Manufacturers and Recyclers Association. I'll give you my own example, because I've been hands-on, Tanzania, Kenya, trying to preach, because even now I am the interim chairperson for the East African Plastic Recyclers Federation. Be crying today in Uganda, because today the industries have even established.
By the way, I've seen a big number of trucks of recycled plastics being impounded or something somewhere.
They're just stuck. Manufacturers,
what
investors of recycling.
So where are you, Chairman, with your trucks stuck?
What do you do? What do you do, Patrick? If a law, an excess duty today, which is now before the president, ready for signing, says all these products out of this recycling will be paying more than 4,000 shillings. 4,000 shillings, and the manufacturer scoops only 6,000. So what about the other cost of production? These guys have been not impounded, but they are stuck along Kasanga and every parts of the country, because investors of recycling are saying, maybe President, withdraw this bill so that we can allow these people to come in. Eh? Because apparently we are losing over 75,000 Ugandans in these facilities. 75,000 Ugandans.
Losing them how? In what sense?
Because these industries are going to close. You cannot operate and
losing jobs.
Yes.
Losing jobs.
Yes, because these jobs are actually where you saw these people packed on those streets. There are those who are waiting even to tell the people, get out of our factories. We don't have money to pay you. Because URA is already up in arms to pick the 4,000 shillings from this kilogram of plastic, which they get 6,000. How can you pay them run cost of production and all this? It's terrible for them, and with that we are losing employment.
So okay. So in that
agrees with you.
In that case,
He agrees with you now.
That they are too cooperative.
No, Uganda is not doing enough to benefit from the economic benefits of
that are
federation.
available on
Because
the
the Kenyans, at every opportunity, I am telling you, Uganda made sure have DRC. After 1 year, Uganda
Yes.
was on making sure that DRC joins. 2 years down the road, you will see.
No.
Kenyans benefiting.
Right now, Equity Bank.
I am told, yes, I am aware. They're already that side.
Actually,
so we must, Ugandans must be told.
Equity without
No.
I
You see,
think
the issue is one. If you're becoming an institution that works together, unified, all the states, you're supposed to work at the same pace. That's why I was even challenging you, my brothers here. You cannot start thinking political federation. You cannot start thinking common currency when your customs union, common market is still a problem. This, even when they were setting this, someone was talking about the pillars of how it was set, started with customs union, free these borders. remove these boundaries, colonial boundaries, which were put to deter us and confine us in our own small countries. So start working together. It's not working on these border posts. And the common market principle, protocol, you don't open it. You don't sit in Arusha in this parliament we are talking about and relieve the hurdles, the bottlenecks. You will not start talking of political federation. You can't talk of common currency. But how? Because, first of all, even crossing to these countries is very hard. Or getting out of this border is terrible.
I don't know where you get that. At least I've lived in 5 of these East African countries.
Because you are privileged.
I was a student before I became privileged.
Yes, a privileged student is not like this poor student.
Help us understand now that the geographical size of the East African community has immensely increased.
Yes.
From the Indian Ocean to the Atlantic.
Yes.
And maybe, God willing, up the Red Sea, because the Somalis have applied, and very soon perhaps Somalia, the Federal Republic of Somalia will be part of the geographical entity called East Africa.
Yes.
How can we benefit from this size, which is more or less like a super state that is being created?
First of all, we should have something that we produce for the market. If we have nothing to produce or sell to the market or give out as a service, we will not benefit. You see, so it is our duty as leaders to market, and like I'll still say, His Excellency has been emphasizing infrastructure, agriculture. Go and get these goods, these matokes, these potatoes, these beans. Go and at least do agriculture at a commercial basis, you see, so that we have something to sell. However good we are, however much we help these other countries in making sure that they are at peace and then build their roads, the head of state is trying.
But have you heard of something called the Africa Continental Free Trade Area?
Yes.
So isn't that enough for us to trade with it? It goes even beyond East Africa.
That is true. But still, we have to first position ourselves as East Africans before we go to the larger market of the African Continental Free Trade Area. So let us have something to market out. And as leaders, it is our duty to look for these markets for our people. He talked about Kasita. They've had challenges in the neighborhood. The treaty tells us to promote good brotherhoodness. It is our duty to remind these state parties to always abide by that treaty.
Gentlemen and lady, it is one thing to think we are in this super state that is stretching from the Indian Ocean to the Atlantic. But when you look at what is the power purchasing, the purchasing power of these people are coming together. We can have a common market, but in really sense it's common poverty. From Wajiri,
I want to give you some numbers.
To Mongwalo in the DRC or somewhere in Yambio in South Sudan, people are poor.
Of course, Patrick, we will not be the same. Like, you will not think that Burundi will be the same as Kenya. You see, we are different, just like family members. Sister and brother will be from the same family, but have different financial muscle. So we are different, really, and we have to appreciate that about each other. But that is why we are in this relationship, to support each other. So we can look for these markets, we can market the goods that our people have, and help them abide by the treaty, and remind our neighbors that it is our duty to at least help each other grow in this market and help our people at least put money in their pockets.
Yes, Harold.
No, I was trying to tell you that the 7 countries that form East Africa are having a population of above 300 million people, which is almost the size of the population of the US.
Congo,
we have a GDP of about $265 billion US.
Which is just an equivalent of one man called Elon Musk.
Actually, no, you can even know there's a company called
Elon
Toyota.
Musk is as rich as the entire stuff.
Toyota has the same income per annum, which employs about 130,000 population. The DRC we are bringing, its trade with East Africa is less than 30%. So most of its trade is with the countries with East Africa. So that tells you there's an opportunity that we are not picking. I've been requesting those in Kampala that I think they must explain pretty well so that people appreciate what are the benefits of having a political federation vis-a-vis an economic federation. Because I believe that I'm not seeing a country allowing to give away its, you know, everybody wants to become a chief somewhere. When you find an LC chairman, he doesn't want you to remove that office. You find a chairman also have the like. Now when you see, because we presuppose when you are studying integrations in economics, we say first of all these countries must be near each other. That was Uganda, Kenya, that was okay. They must be at the same level of economic development. When you look at how the Kenyans and the Tanzanians are running, it scares me a lot. I think it even could be the reasons why everybody wants to punch Ugandans and they fix us here. So we need a voice that a little shout to our colleagues that, you know, this diplomacy can be a little good and sometimes bad. I tell colleagues, this is what we agreed. But you are taking the lion's share. Where is Uganda?
So
because
who has stopped Uganda to have the lion's share? After all, the other day at Kasarani, I had President Yoweri Museveni being introduced as the father of the region.
Yes, they say.
But who stopped the father of the region?
You see, when you grow up and your father...
To show his muscle.
Sometimes your child that brings soap, you even start calling him father. They could be mocking us. Call him father and respect Uganda.
But
for me, that's what I want. I want to see Uganda at the same pace with those countries. How a Ugandan is treated, it should be at the same level the way we treat Kenyans, Tanzanians. So you see the other day, this guy, this boy who stole 400,000 US dollars from
there is that allegation.
Yes, of course.
Fiona will tell you.
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry.
You can't
it's an allegation.
It's an allegation.
But now that tells you, colleagues from other countries, they come and really have fun here. Invest. But let me tell you, it is a hassle for Ugandan to invest in all these other countries. Fiona, I'm telling you, it is a serious hassle.
Actually,
your trade is a good trade.
Okay, so Moses, look, we have an economy that is not in the hands of Ugandans. It's not the banking sector.
Yes.
That's in our hands as Ugandans. It's not the hotel industry. It's not the telecom industry. It's not the insurance.
Construction.
It's not the construction. So this economy, what is there that is for us? I know foreign direct investment is good, but also we need Ugandans to own the economy.
Smaller businesses.
Do we? We don't. So you, gentlemen and lady, who want to go to the East African Legislative Assembly, how do you empower Ugandans so that we just don't have to attract FDI, but also have Ugandan businessmen who will not only invest in Kampala, but can have a foot in Nairobi, in Dar es Salaam, Kigali, and Kinshasa?
Yeah, I've said it before in many platforms I've been, and I said, usually if you look at some of the economies, we take examples from the big economies. We don't go to Kenya like the way my colleagues are saying here to feel it and feel that we are left behind. Look at Japan, look at Korea, look at China. How did they emerge to the top? How have they surpassed even the US economy today that we feel China is the biggest economy in the world, right? They started it small and came big. Cottage industry, this is something I've been telling. Even last time I met President Museveni, I was telling him, you are the pioneer of cottage industry, but we need people down on the ground who can help them out. Because you cannot just shoot up to the...
But you see, the president that you met, and you're telling me about cottage industry, has been at the helm for almost 40 years.
Where's the goodwill
so
of our people?
If he has failed in 40 years, then we shouldn't be seeking advice.
I don't agree with you, Mr. Kamara. What do you want President Museveni to come down on the grassroots in Toro, in Chenjojo, to start training your people to do cottage? He has brought a vision. Yeah. How do you pick it up? Yeah. How focused are you? Are you envisioned?
The problem tonight for the three of you is that because you are also on a charm offensive.
No.
We're looking at it in the real perspective.
Kamara, let us credit the head of state.
Even Harold Kaija, who is an FDC guy, will have to speak because the electoral college is made up of 90%.
Let me take you very
at least you've seen I try to tell you what I feel. think
I
is
can
right
understand
for
you.
this
I can
country.
understand you.
But my colleagues are actually NRM.
let's
So,
No, it's not about NRM. It's about
Let us
Mr. Kamal,
credit
let me
what he
finish it.
has done.
Just give me
Yeah.
a chance to finish it. Go to the Uganda Industrial Research Institute here in Nagawa. How many people are there that are practicing this cottage and industrial business startup? They have given a fully fledged research center. They have put it, extended it up to Mukono. How many people are there? Last time I was seeing the Indians coming to trade. Do you blame the country leadership? Or do you blame yourself for not thinking
the countries you are giving
out
as
of
an
the
example,
box?
one of the countries you are giving as an example, South Korea. In the 60s, they were coming to benchmark in Uganda.
Exactly.
How businesses, how countries are run.
Yeah, they have done it in
Yes.
better. They have got enough capital to come and spread it over.
And from 1960, the person who has been longest at the helm, almost 40 years, is President Yoweri Museveni. So where did we lose the ball? What happened to us?
we-
Maybe we should
haven't
also blame
lost-
ourselves. We should
Where
blame
did we
ourselves.
drop it? We should go back and pick it.
We actually haven't lost, Patrick.
Okay.
We really haven't lost. It is just that we need to do more as a country. And we've had challenges. You saw the COVID. COVID is one of those that slowed down this integration process. So we have to appreciate where we have made achievements and then work on those that we need to improve, really. And you asked my brother sometime in the beginning of this show that what is it that Kenyans do very well. I want to say Kenyans think business. They sleep business, they wake up business.
Like Indians.
You see, and that is why I say that we need to adopt and change our mindset to equally think business, sleep business, and wake up to business. With Kenyans, you saw their politics. For them, they believe that siasa na biashara, meaning business and politics, go hand in hand. Can we have the same mindset? When you look at us here, sometimes we even talk ill of our own country, and it tarnishes our tourism. And yet we have the best tourist sites in the region, you see. So can we equally have a business mind so that we can market this business mind for the good of our people?
Okay, so Harold,
Yeah.
for a country that has been blessed by God, he has. I think we have the best country in the world.
Yeah,
Yes.
I say this because I've had an opportunity
That is true.
to travel.
yes, sir.
And when you look at East Africa, without Congo, Uganda has almost 50% of East Africa's arable land.
That's true.
Almost in every village in East Africa, there's a river and fertile soil. And we have a young population. What I'm trying to say is that our niche should have been in agriculture.
Yeah, true.
So do you think the current government, led by President Yoweri Museveni, for failure to invest heavily in agriculture, do you think they don't know? Do you think they are just bad? Or maybe they don't get it?
You know, there is a book written by Professor Samuel Runyigo Lwanga. It came out last year. I've been reading it. It is called Uganda, an Indian Economy. From the colonialists, there was that policy of not wanting the blacks, the Ugandans, to engage in the economy. So eventually, Uganda became paralyzed. Engineers were brought. Eventually, Japanese were here by 1900. I was surprised. And others, and took over the economy. So agriculture, because I was talking to a few guys saying Uganda's capital should have actually been in Karamoja, where the land is not good for agriculture. A country must look at its, as said, comparative advantage. When you have fertile land and you say people shouldn't build houses on the fertile land, and then you reserve it
For agriculture?
for commercial culture. What the Kenyans did, the Kenyans were led by the colonialists to engage in business. And they actually grew up in business. And that's why today you see Kenyans owning choppers, planes. And somebody tells you he goes to his farm using a chopper. Here, even those that we call super rich will drive on the same roads. Others will have to go and beg. They used to beg a police, and you say businessman using a police chopper. We don't have them here. So we don't have real rich people. Because why? We've not identified our strength.
Sometimes I don't think Ugandans have the money to buy the choppers. It's just about also how that the airspace, the freedom of the airspace. I'll give you an example, because at one point when they arrested, I think, when Mayiga, then Namboze and Segona.
Yes.
And that was before the advent of where you can send videos quickly using our phones. There was a helicopter here. I put in a request from NTV Uganda to follow these guys and fly all over.
Yes,
and the money was given to me. But the guy could not be given access to go out on air because the Air Force, the UPDF said no.
Because of the project that you're on, depending on the project.
No, not necessarily.
The project you're on.
They cannot easily allow you to go.
No, I've seen people. No, but I've seen people charter planes here. Those going to Arua. There was a time it was, I think it was about then 600,000. So somebody would fly to Arua and come back. But what I'm saying,
every time you talk the sky, you have to get some clearance from the UPDF.
You remember the other conference that was in Serena about the economic freedom? I was here asking you for the presentation of that German. I want to read it. I know Mr. Mugai must be watching. Get me that presentation. They're showing you how hard it is to start business in this country. Those are the paperwork you need.
When they have free land everywhere.
I am telling you how. Now, if you want to get an export license.
That's contradictory.
No, if you want to get an export license, you can ask the processes. It's not an easy thing.
Through the right channel.
Before I take a break, I'm going to do this. I'm going to ask each one of you, Moses Brown, starting with you. The members of parliament who in the next 1 week will be sieving through, maybe giving you the mandate. I just want you to make an elevator pitch to them.
Perfect. For me, I am here and I stand seriously for a deepened integration, and an integration which I am focused that it should come down. This question of Kamara, what has it helped our people? At least in the 5 years, we should see a picture. Full representation, open all and get rid of all these bottlenecks on customs union and common market. Without concentrating on that, you are nowhere. And Mr. Kamara, I'm an architect of environment. I'm an environmentalist by making and by practice. I'm one of the people who have ensured that Uganda today has more than 50 recycling industries, which we are even willing to make sure if actually this bill amended exercise duty, if the president doesn't sign it, Uganda has an opportunity today to make sure that all regions of Uganda, in Sorot we establish one, in the Marara we put one, in Kabala we put one. I want to work now with members of parliament. Bring these recycling facilities into your constituencies. Clean your cities. You have been bragging around, Mr. Kamara. You come from one of the cleanest cities in the country. Fort Portal.
It is.
I have been more passing around. But you also need more efforts. Mr. Alex Ruhunda, the member of parliament, and Linda, they need this investment. And I'm working with the investors to make sure all these machines are coming, because it is possible.
All right, the elevator pitch is done.
Mr. Kamara, look here. If we don't control on matters of environment and climate change, this country, East Africa, and the whole world is headed for doom. Because you have seen people in Imbara, you have seen people in Kasika and Kasese dying of floods. It's all about climate change. We must work hard. These recycling facilities must come to Uganda and spread them everywhere, so that we are safe from all these disasters.
We are going to get more petrochemicals coming in when it opens up just very soon.
Exactly.
You'll be my guest.
You have it.
Arun Kaija,
yes.
you are not new to the Ugandan politics.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you'll make your own charm offensive before we take a break.
Yeah.
Make your own charm offensive to the Electoral College.
Yes,
I want to hear you.
For me, I've told colleagues, fellow Ugandans who are in parliament, who must make a decision, that we need a community of opportunities, and to be particular, economic opportunities that we can achieve. As I told you, the size of it, whereby if I have a Uganda shilling and I go somewhere, we can't benefit, I can sleep hungry. We must seriously consider having a single currency. I know they talk about it as coming to 2004, but there must be people who must work towards having it. I also feel that we must have a trade tribunal to settle the disputes between the interstate economic conflicts. I also believe that we must work towards the removal of work permits, so that if somebody wants to sees a job in Kigali, in Burundi, in Kinshasa, it is easy for that person to go and get it.
Okay.
We must also create mechanisms that deal with the interstate political conflicts to insulate the trade. Remember, those who have studied history of O-level, long-distance trade, if states were fighting, the trade was allowed to flourish, so that we make sure that the East Africa, we have given the colleagues our check, but our fellow partners have given us a bouncing check. We must face them and tell the colleagues, we want a community where all partner states benefit. I want to say a community that I must blame myself. I don't want a community where I must be good to others and they're actually bad to me.
All right, Fiona, Kisoro's illustrious daughter, born at the border from Chanika, studied in Nairobi, lives in Kampala, and now you want to go and stay in Arusha.
And raised in Mbale and by the people of Karamoja. So I'm truly Ugandan. Yes, thank you, Patrick. But Fiona Randarugali, one, I am the best candidate. And why do I say so? I'm uniquely qualified for this job. Being a practitioner of 2 countries, I speak Swahili, the language of the people of East Africa. I'm very fluent in it, and you're not going to legislate with our people at regional level without speaking their language. My agenda is aligned with the agenda of our country. I want to lobby investment in infrastructure to ease the movement of goods and services. I want to lobby ICT investment to promote revenue mobilization for our country. I want to lobby dialogue. I want to encourage it for our people of East Africa, so that whenever we have challenges that we face as a region, we sit on the round table and discuss these challenges without really imposing these trade barriers or locking borders for the neighborhoods like we had in Rwanda and Uganda. I also want to lobby a market, at least for our people's goods. I want to lobby that we as a region have a tourism investment where we promote tourism as a regional project, so that when we are promoting tourism, we are promoting a visa for tourism for all our countries, the neighboring countries. So I want to really align my agenda, and I know that it aligns with the market of my country, and also I want to make sure that at least our people benefit from the trade of goods and services across the region.
All right, Fiona, Harold, and Moses Brown. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'm going to get the views of the people who have been watching, and I'm sure they're coming on our platforms, on our social media platforms. I'll read them for you, their questions and comments, and what they think. And so on the spot, we'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching On the Spot. My name is Patrick Amar, and my guests tonight are Moses Brown Ategeka, Harold Kaija, and Fiona Rwandarugali. We're discussing the East Africa Community agenda. This is the moment when you have to get to have your say. So I'm going to be reading your comments and your questions here. And if you have a question, I'll make sure my guests this evening respond to your questions or even listen to your comments. So let's start off with somebody is saying the current East African community is totally meaningless to the common citizens. Uganda should stop acting desperate. Kenya is very biased in employment, even when you have qualifications attained from their university. Uganda should stand for its citizens. Our leaders are just after politics only. That is one of the views from a viewer there. It's very hard for a low-class Ugandan to trade in Kenyan capital with very low capital or any other East African country, but very simple for a local man of any other country in East Africa with little capital can come to do business. This is because the Uganda government looks at the non-citizens as investors, even when with low capital, the same thinking which can't be tolerated by the East African country. This is also a challenge for local Ugandan citizens. I wish you were putting your names there. And this says, thank you, Patrick, for the show. How I wish that all MPs in the 11th Parliament would vote for Fiona Rwanda-Rugari as our MP to EALA on an independent ticket. She's well-informed, articulate, passionate about the EAC integration, and with the ready to promote Uganda's regional agenda. Her Swahili is superb. She only said two things, siasa na biashara. Really? And that's Golova Richard Makinde Sabagabo in Wakiso district. Thank you, Patrick. Two key issues need to be addressed for the success of the EAC. One, involvement of the people. Two, avoid a strong sense of nationalism. This is Mivule Ronald. Mivule Ronald, if this is the right name, he's also a candidate in this thing.
No, 27.
Sorry?
It's 2027.
Oh, okay. EALA 2027, 2022. Okay. Thank you for the program. Somebody is calling me Arali, but that's not my pet name. Okay. I am happy for Rwanda-Rugari. Where exactly does she come from in Kisoro? This is Murekatete Nusura from Chanika, Kisoro. Okay, and Patrick Kamara, Mr. Brown is right on the amount of tuition foreign students pay in public universities. And he says he's tuned in from Maluku, Mbale, is Daniel Wags. And I live in South Sudan. Crossing the border to South Sudan is a hassle, especially on the south side. That lady panelist hasn't moved across the borders. A question to Fiona. She said, sometimes we talk ill about our country. Who talks ill of our country? Is the opposition that advises the government on the criminals crippling our economy? Or it's the criminals working for our government that tarnish our country and discourage the tourism? Julius in Sweden. A second question, what does she have to say about the peaceful transition of power as she saw her boss, Museveni, attending Ruto's swearing in? I think let me just take a pause here so that gentlemen and lady, you can perhaps, I think let me take a pause here so that gentlemen and lady, you can be able to respond to some of those comments. Because some of them are not direct questions to you, but at least you have a question or two. So Moses Brown, can you go first?
Very fast, thank you so much. Thank you for the colleagues who have actually noticed that we are talking the exact. It's a compliment, thank you. It's true that universities must come to the level and the performance and the recommendation of the East African community. All students, learners in all institutions must be respected, treated the same. I still tell you, by the way, even our children who are in Kenya or these other countries, they don't have the freedom we have in Uganda. A Kenyan student, a Southern student today can do anything in Uganda, but you go and do it in Kenya. Tomorrow I don't know what they will bring in Uganda. I don't want to say what they will bring. When you come, but the President Museveni question, was it for me, for her? I can tackle. I can tackle. I can tackle.
Okay, briefly, go for it.
We live in different political institutions. That's why you have United Kingdom today having a leader who has served the state for over 94 years. You have these countries in Paris, France, Spain, 96.
Later?
I mean, your brother Queen, the Queen was
70
there.
years.
70, not 94.
She has lived for 96,
She
but
has
some
lived
for
90, okay, fine, correction accepted. She died at 96, but she has served that much. Correct. And institutions, when they are different politically, it does not deter them to come together and work for the common good.
Thank you, Moses Brown. Let me go to Harold. Harold, what's your comment on, you've had responses from people who have been listening to you and viewing your submission.
Thank you, our viewers, for your appreciation of what we are talking about. I think what I can capture in is the economics, what I've seen our colleagues talking about. The politics, you know, the community in Uganda is more for us politicians. We must work towards making sure that we get the economic benefits for our people. Short of that, We who have gone to school, who do the politics, will have betrayed our people. And it's we who must face colleagues from other partner states and tell them, guys, we want you to honor your what? Your pledge.
You also accept President Museveni is okay?
Thank you so much, Fiona Rwanda Rugari.
Thank you very much, Patrick. To those that wish me well, thank you so much. There was one who asked where I come from in Chisoro. I come from Busanza. I'm a Musanza, a Muzigaba from Chisoro. And then there was a question on the fact that maybe I don't live across these borders. True, I've not been to Sudan and I've not been to DRC, but at least I've lived to the other 5 countries. No, I have. Okay. Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda I have crossed. But for Congo and Sudan, no, not yet. So for those challenges that we are facing, that's why I'm here presenting myself. And those are some of the issues that we'll tackle, that we at least need to make it very easy for our people across the borders to cross these borders without any challenges. So it is part of my agenda to deliver this for our people. And there was a question on who talks ill about our country. I'm only encouraging all of us as citizens of East Africa to promote the agenda of East Africa, much more that of Uganda, because when we are at regional level, when I'm sent there, actually when I am, and that is where I'm going next, I will be promoting the agenda of Uganda. I will not be promoting the agenda of any political party. I have to align myself with the agenda of Uganda. And finally, there was a question on the peaceful transition of power. I want to say that the people of Uganda decide their destiny. So when that time comes, we surely will have it. All I want to say is, at least where we are at, we are thinking of it, and I'm sure that our president is equally thinking in the same line. So we'll get there one day. Each country has its own politics and destiny.
All right, gentlemen and lady, maybe let me ask my producer to punch in maybe 2 or 3 more views so that I get to hear from you. Good evening, beloved panelists. I'm Tom Twahirwa from Entebbe. I thank all of you panelists for your valuable insights about East Africa. Indeed, you are shaping an important dialogue for our leaders in East Africa. Thank you, moderator, for choosing this topic. Okay, thank you so much, Tom. And so, good evening, Patrick. My name is Rogers from Kasangati. The NRM lady talked about studying in Kenya and paying some same fees. Which university was that? And also, she talked about free movement. Has she ever crossed to Tanzania? And how many days of stay was she given in Tanzania? Yeah, probably somebody says, I'm Gregory Sonko from Kabora. The EAC is more like a dining table where the head of the family parts away with a big share. What do we do, Ugandans? What do we Ugandans have as our bargaining power at the EAC space? Or we demand more than what we can offer? Thank you so much, Gregory. And somebody says he has enjoyed the program. Kenyans are very fast in everything. It's true Uganda is part of Africa, but we need to wake up. To me, I would say Uganda is the mother of these other East African countries because our borders are ever open to everyone from these countries, but to us, it's not the same. Why? I had a trip to Tanzania carrying a passport showing my profession. I faced it hard. How many days are you going to stay there? You shouldn't get any job here in Tanzania. Why and why and why? A lot of questions were asked there. Okay, and probably let this be the last one. I understand there are very many people who have sent their comments. Professor Luanga Luyingo's book is Uganda, an Indian colony, not economy. An Indian colony, not economy, as Honorable Kaida said. I think you are right there for that correction. And so, looks like there was only one question directed to Fiona, and after that, I will be asking you, gentlemen and lady, to make your concluding remarks. But Fiona.
I went to the Kenya School of Law. He wanted to know that. Then for the other challenges, whether I've been to Tanzania, true, we've had challenges, and I don't want to point out which particular country, but we can work on that. That is why we are offering ourselves as leaders to champion the agenda of East Africa and the agenda of Uganda. So we'll continue to lobby, we'll continue to engage, we'll continue to dialogue with our people, with our government, so that at least our agenda aligns itself with that of East Africa, and much less for Uganda. So I thank you very much, Patrick.
Thank you. Okay, so Gentlemen, I want to thank you, but let me give you, each one of you, a few seconds to give us your final arguments. Moses Brown.
Yeah, my parting shot will go, because one of my agenda in the East African community is to completely allow more employment to Ugandans. Very many youth, a number of youth. In Uganda we have 11, Congo we have this much. We have over 50 to 100 youth and unemployed citizens. So we have to create a situation. Everything that we're going to do must be geared towards creating employment. And in this way, I want to petition, to extend a petition of East African Plastic Recyclers, Uganda Plastic Manufacturer and Recyclers Association, to President Yoweri Museveni, that there's that bill on your table, which is Amendment Bill Excess Duty 2022. It is a very heavy bill. It's going to kill and swallow all the small-scale SMEs industries that are being fought directly by the large-scale industries, those who want to clean environment and those who don't want. And today, you saw it, more than 50 trucks were paraded in Kasangati. They are not ready to be accepted in recycling facilities. So President Yoweri Museveni, please hold on that bill and allow further consultation for clearance and protection of our jobs, cleaning of our environment, and for climate change purposes. Thank you, sir. Your Excellency.
Okay, Mr. Harold Kaija, your parting shot.
Yeah, I also want to thank all our viewers who have been following and your responses. But I want to speak to Museveni and the leadership. I understand tomorrow NRM is having their caucus meeting, and the agenda is EALA. I'd want to request them that we are selecting a team of Uganda to compete with other teams from other countries. Let them allow the members of the NRM to choose us freely. Because currently everybody scares you. If you're from opposition, you'll not be considered. But if you seriously want Uganda to achieve, let's give everybody a vote on merit. If somebody is good, let that person be in the team. Like the case we accuse the coach of Uganda Cranes, how he selects teams competing with other countries, as we must choose the best. Mitchell cannot look at only Villa, because those are Villa players where Mr. Magogo is a supporter. They choose from all the clubs to make sure we have the best team to go and lobby for Uganda. And I believe, if given the mantle, I am a Ugandan, who loves my country, who loves the best for this country. We must work towards making sure that we get the share of our people, so that the people of Uganda feel the East African community in as far as economic opportunities are concerned.
All right, thank you so much. Fiona, your final argument.
Thank you very much. I want to take this opportunity to thank you, the viewers, for listening in to us. And I want to thank also the head of state, His Excellency, for his visionary leadership and for at least fronting and being at the helm and or promoting the agenda of East Africa. I want to thank the members of parliament who have been with us for all this while, encouraging us and supporting us. And I want to say that please promote and vote Fiona Rwandarugali, because at least I know that my agenda aligns itself with the agenda of our country. I also want to say that I want to promote the woman, because I am a woman and I am a young Ugandan. I want to say that I want to continue promoting the agenda of the women at regional level, because we equally have a stake as women at regional level. And I also want to encourage all Ugandans out there to kindly learn Swahili, because you're not going to be able to sell and market our goods and services at regional level without speaking the language of the community. I want to thank you so much, all of you, and I want to pray that I will represent my country at regional level, and I pray and hope that you will front me at the East African Legislative Assembly as the new voice and advocate for the Ugandans. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Fiona Rwandarugali. Thank you so much, Harold, and thank you so much, Moses Brown. And Fiona said that we should be able to learn Swahili. Can I make my maybe at least say goodbye in Swahili. Tumeshukuru sana wageni wetu, tumeshukuru Afrika Mashariki tuko pamoja. Wenzi wetu wa Kenya tumesema pongea sana, mlichagua rais mwingine. Thank you so much. Usiku njema, Mungu awabariki. Good night and God bless Uganda.
Asante.